I am here in Lord of the Rings world and token world, and so oh my God, let's see. We were from what I understand, we're still in Rivendell. We're still in Rivendell, and I think we may be heading out a little bit. Uh, the picture that was posted was an illustration from the chapter 3, The Ring Goes South. Yes, and that the it's labeled Rivendell looking west. As you can tell, it's like a valley crevice with a river running through there. Um, it's very it's very intricate, but it does look like, well, you can see what you can see, uh, which is right here. So, excuse me. I'm gonna see how far I can get to today, and knowing that the sun is going down. And I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I am on page 272 on chapter 3, The Ring Goes South. Book 2, the Two Towers, within the trilogy of Lord of the Rings. So, okay, here we go. Later that day, the hobbits held a meeting of their own in Bilbo's room. Merry and Pippin were indignant when they heard that Sam had crept into the council and had been chosen as Frodo's companion. It's most unfair, said Pippin. Instead of throwing him out and clapping him in chains, Elrond goes and rewards him for his cheek. Rewards, said Frodo. I can't imagine a more severe punishment. You are not thinking what you are saying. Condemned to go on this hopeless journey, a reward. Yesterday, I dreamed that my task was done and I could rest here a long while, perhaps forget. I don't wonder, said Mary, and I wish you could. But we are envying Sam, not you. If you have to go, then it will be a punishment for any of us to be left behind, even in Rivendell. We have come a long way with you and been through some stiff times. We want to go on. That's what I meant, said Pippin. We hobbits ought to stick together, and we will. I shall go unless they chain me up. There must be someone with intelligence in the party. Then you certainly will not be chosen. Peregrine Took, said Gandalf, looking in through the window, which was near the ground. But you are all worrying yourselves unnecessarily. Nothing is decided yet. Nothing decided, cried Pippin. Then were you all doing? You were shut up for hours. Talking, said Bilbo. There was a deal of talk. and everyone had an eye opener, even old Gandalf. I think Legola's bit of news about Gollum caught even him on the hop, though he passed it off. You were wrong, said Gandalf. You were inattentive. I had already heard of it from Gorir. If you want to know, the only real eye openers, as you put it, were you and Frodo, and I was the only one that was not surprised. Well, anyway, said Bilbo, nothing was decided beyond choosing poor Frodo and Sam. I was afraid all the time that it might come to that if I was let off. But if you ask me, Elrod will send out a fair number. When the reports come in, have they started yet, Gandalf? Yes, said the wizard. Some of the scouts have been sent out already. More will go tomorrow. Elrod is sending elves, and they will get in touch with the rangers, and maybe with Thorondwell's folk in Mirkwood. And Aragorn has gone with Elrod's sons. We shall have to scour the lands all around for many long leagues before any move is made. So cheer up, Frodo. You will probably make quite a long stay here. Ah, said Sam gloomily. We'll just wait long enough for winter to come. That can't be helped, said Bilbo. It's your fault partly. Frodo, my lad, insisting on waiting for my birthday. A funny way of honoring it. I can't help you thinking. Not the day I should have chosen for letting the S and B's into Bag End. But there it is. You can't wait now till spring, and you can't go until the reports come back. When winter first begins to bite, and stones crack in the frosty night, when pools are black and trees are bare, 'tis evil in the wild to fare. But that I am afraid will be just your luck. I am afraid it will, said Gandalf. We can't start until we have found out about the riders. I thought they were all destroyed in the flood, said Mary. You cannot destroy ringmasts like that, said Gandalf. The power of their master is in them, and they stand or fall by him. We hope that they were all unhorsed and unmasked, and so made for a while less dangerous. But we must find out for certain. In the meantime, you should try and forget your troubles, Frodo. I do not know if I can do anything to help you, but I will whisper this in your ears. Someone said that intelligence would be needed in the party. He was right. I think I shall come with you. So great was Frodo's delight at this announcement that Gandalf left the window sill where he had been sitting and took off his hat and bowed. I only said I think I shall come. Do not count on anything yet. In this matter, Elrod will have much to say, and your friend the Strider. Which reminds me, I want to see Elrod. I must be off. How long do you think I shall have here? Said Frodo to Bilbo when Gandalf had gone. Oh, I don't know. I can't count days in Rivendell, said Bilbo. But quite long, I should think. We can have many a good talk. But what about helping me with my book and making a start on the next? Have you thought of an ending? Yes, several, and all dark and unpleasant, said Frodo. Oh, that won't do, said Bilbo. Bilbo books ought to have good endings. How would this do? and they all settled down and lived together happily ever after. It will do well if it ever comes to that, said Frodo. Ah, said Sam, and where will they live? That's what I often wonder. For a while the hobbits continued to talk and think of the past journey and of the perils that lay ahead. But such was the virtue of the land of Rivendell, and soon all fear and anxiety was lifted from their minds. The future, good or ill, was not forgotten, but ceased to have any power over the present. Health and hope grew strong in them, and they were content with each good day as it came, taking pleasure in every meal and in every word and song. So the day slipped away as each morning dawned bright and fair, and each evening followed cool and clear. But autumn was waning fast. Slowly the golden light faded to pale silver, and the lingering leaves fell from the naked trees. A wind began to blow, chill from the misty mountains to the east. The hunter's moon waxed round in the night sky. It put to flight all the lesser stars. But low in the south, one star shone red. Every night as the moon waned again, it shone brighter and brighter. Frodo could see it from his window, deep in the heavens, burning like a watchful eye that glared above the trees on the brink of the valley. The hobbits had been nearly 2 months in the house of Elrond, and November had gone by with the last shreds of autumn, and December was passing. And when the scouts began to return, some had gone north beyond the springs of Horwell into the Edmund Moors. Here's Horwell. There's the Edmund Moors. And others had gone west, and with the help of Aragorn and the Rangers have searched the lands far down in the Great Flood. As far as Sarbad, where the old North Road crossed the river by a ruined town. Hmm. Hmm. That's the old fort right here. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, many had gone east and south, and some of these had crossed the mountains and entered Mirkwood, while others had climbed the pass at the sources of the Gladden River and had come down into Wilderland and over the Gladden Fields. And so at length had reached the old home of Radagast and Roscoeville. Radagast was not there, and they had returned over the high pass that was called the Red Horn Gate. The sons of Elrond, Eliadon, and Elrohir were the last to return. They had made a great journey, passing down the Silver Road into a strange country. But of their errand they would not speak to any save to Elrond. In no region had the messengers discovered any signs or tidings of the riders or other servants of the enemy, even from the eagles of the misty mountains. They had learned no fresh news. Nothing had been seen or heard of Gollum, but the wild wolves were still gathering and were hunting again far up the great river. 3 of the black horses had been found, at once drowned in the flooded ford. Uh, oh, ford. On the rocks of the rapids below, its searchers discovered the bodies of 5 more, and also a long black cloak, slashed and tattered. Of the black riders, no other trace was to be seen, and nowhere was their presence to be felt. It seemed that they had vanished from the north. 8 out of the 9 are accounted for at least, said Gandalf. It is rash to be sure, yet I think that we may hope now that the ring rafts were scattered and have been obliged to return as best as they could to their master in Mordor, empty and shapeless. If that is so, it will be some time before they can begin the hunt again. Of course, the enemy has other servants, but they will have to journey all the way to the borders of Rivendell before they can pick up our trail. And if we are careful, that we will that will be hard to find, but we must delay no longer. Elrond summoned the hobbits to him. He looked gravely at Frodo. The time has come, he said. If the ring is to set out, it must go soon. But those who go with it must not count on their errand being aided by war or force. They must pass into the domain of the enemy, far from aid. Do you still hold to your word, Frodo, that you will be the ring bearer? I do, said Frodo. I will go with Sam. Then I cannot help you much, not even with counsel, said Elrond. I can foresee very little of your road, and how your task is to be achieved I do not know. The shadow has crept now to the feet of the mountains, and draws nigh even to the borders of the great flood. And under the shadow is dark to me. You will meet many foes, some open and some disguised, and you may find friends upon your way when you least look for it. I will send out messages such as I can contrive to those whom I know in the wide world. But so perilous are the lands now that become, that some may well miscarry, or come no quicker than yourself. And I will choose you companions to go with you as far as they will our fortune allows. The number must be few, since your hope is in speed and secrecy. Had I a host of elves in armor of the elder days, it will avail little, save to arouse the power of mortal. The company of the ring shall be 9, and the 9 walkers shall be set against the 9 riders that are evil. With you and your faithful servant, Gandalf will go. for this shall be his great task, and maybe the end of his labors. For the rest, they shall represent the other free peoples of the world, elves, dwarves, and men. Legolas shall be for the elves, and Gimli, son of Goy, for the dwarves. They are willing to go at least to the passes of the mountains, and maybe beyond. For men, you shall have Aragorn, son of Arathorn, for the ring of Isildur concerns him closely. Strider, cried Frodo. Yes, said with a smile. I ask leave once again to be your companion, Frodo. I would have begged you to come, said Frodo. Only I thought you were going to Minas Tirith with Boromir. I am, said Aragorn, and the sword that was broken shall be reforged ere I set out to war. But your road and our road lie together for many hundreds of miles. Therefore Boromir will also be in the company. He is a valiant man. There remain two more to be found, said Elrond. These I will consider. Of my household, I may find some that it seems good to me to send, but that will leave no place for us, cried Pippin in dismay. We don't want to be left behind. We want to go with Frodo. That is because you do not understand and cannot imagine what lies ahead, said Elrond. Neither does Frodo, said Gandalf, unexpectedly supporting Pippin, nor any of us see clearly. It is true that if these hobbits understood the danger, they would not dare to go, but they would still wish to go. I wish that they dared and be shamed and unhappy. I think, Elrond, that in this matter it would be well to trust rather to their friendship than to great wisdom. Even you choose for us an elf lord such as Glorfindel. He could not storm the dark tower nor open the road to the fire by the power that is in him. You speak gravely, said Elrond, but I am in doubt. The Shire I forebode. It is not free now from peril. And these two I had thought to send back there as messengers to do what they could according to the fashion of their country, to warn the people of their danger. In any case, I judge that the younger of these two, Peregrine Took, should remain. My heart is against his going. Then, Master Elrond, you will have to lock me in prison or send me home tied in a sack, said Pippin. For otherwise I shall follow the company. Let it be so then, you shall go, said Elrond, and sighed. Now, the tale of nine is filled. In 7 days the company must depart. Hmm. We'll read a couple more pages and then we'll call it a night. Okay. The sword of Elendil was forged anew by elfish smiths, and on its blade was traced a device of 7 stars set between the crescent moon and the rayed sun, and about them was written many runes. For Aragorn, son of Arathorn, was going to war upon the marches of Mordor. Very bright was that sword when it was made whole again. The light of the sun shone redly in it. The light of the moon shone cold, and its edge was hard and keen. And Aragorn gave it a new name and called it Andúril, Flame of the West. This is, Andúril. Yeah, okay. Aragorn and Gandalf walked together or sat speaking of their road and the perils they would meet. And they pondered the stored and figured maps and books of lore that were in the house of Elrond. Sometimes Frodo was with them, but he was content to lean on their guidance, and he spent much time as he could with Bilbo. In those days, the hobbits sat together in the evening in the hall of fire, and there, among many tales they heard told in the full delay of Beren and Luthien, and the winning of the great jewel. But in the day, while Merry and Pippin were out and about, Frodo and Sam were to be found in Bilbo in his own room. Then Bilbo would read passages from his book, which still seemed very incomplete, or scraps of his verses, or would take notes of Frodo's adventures. On the morning of the last day of Frodo was alone with Bilbo, and the old hobbit pulled out from under his bed a wooden box. He lifted the lid and fumbled inside. "Here is your sword," he said, "but it was broken, you know. I took it to keep safe, but I forgot to ask if the smith could mend it. No time now, so I thought perhaps you could care to have this. Don't you know?" He took from the box a small sword and an old, shabby leather scabbard. Then he drew it, and its polished and well-tended blade glittered suddenly, cold and bright. "This is Sting," he said, and thrust it with a little effort deep into a wooden beam. "Take it if you like. I shan't want it again, I expect." Frodo accepted it gratefully. "And there is this," said Bilbo, bringing out a parcel which seemed to be rather heavy for its size. He unwound several folds of old cloth and held up a small shirt of mail. It was close woven of many rings, as supple almost as linen, cold as ice and harder than steel. It shone like moonlit silver and was studded with white gems. With it was a belt of pearl and crystal. "It's a pretty thing, isn't it?" said Bilbo, moving it to the light, "and useful. It is my dwarf mail that Thorin gave me. I got it back from Delphi before I started, and packed it with my luggage. I brought all the mementos of my journey away with me, except the ring. But I did not expect to use this, and I don't need it now, except to look at sometimes. You hardly feel any weight when you put it on. I should look. Well, I don't think I should look right in it," said Frodo. "Just what I said myself," said Bilbo. But never mind about looks. You can wear it under your outer clothes. Come on, you must share this secret with me. Don't tell anybody else. But I should feel happier if I knew you were wearing it. I have a fancy it would turn even the knives of the Black Riders. He ended in a low voice. Very well, I will take it, said Frodo. He put it on him and fastened Sting upon the glittering belt. And then Frodo, over the top, his old weather-stained breeches, tunic, and jacket, just a plain hobbit look. You look, said Bilbo, but there is more about you now than appears on the surface. Good luck to you. He turned away and looked out of the window, trying to hum a tune. I cannot thank you as I should, Bilbo, for this, and for all your past kindnesses, said Frodo. Don't try, said the old hobbit, turning around and slapping him on the back. Ow! He cried. You are too hard now to slap. but but there you are. Hobbits, let's stick together, especially Bagginses. All I ask in return is take as much care of yourself as you can and bring back all the news you can. And any old songs and tales you can come by. I'll do my best to finish my book before you return. I should like to write the second book if I am spared. He broke off and turned to the window again, singing softly. I sit beside the fire and think of all that I have seen, of meadow flowers and butterflies, and summers that have been, of yellow leaves and gossamer, and autumns that there were, with morning mist and silver sun, and wind upon my hair. I sit beside the fire and think of how the world would be when winter comes without a spring that I shall ever see. For still there are so many things that I have never seen, and every wood in every spring there is a different green. I sit beside the fire and think of people long ago, and people who will see a world that I shall never know. But all the while I sit and think of the times there were before. I listen for returning feet and voices at the door. It was a gray day near the end of December. The east wind was streaming through the bare branches of the trees and seething in the dark pines of the hills. Ragged clouds were hurrying overhead, dark and low, as the cheerless shadows of the early evening began to fall. The company made ready to set out. They were to start at dusk, for Elrod counseled them to journey under cover of night as often as they could, until they were far from Rivendell. You should fear the many eyes of the servants of Sauron, he said. I do not doubt that news of the discomfiture of the riders has already reached him, and he will be filled with wrath. Soon now, his spies on foot and wing will be abroad in the northern lands, and even of the sky above you must be aware as you go on your way. The company took little gear of war, for their hope was in secrecy, not in battle. Aragorn had Anduril, but no other weapon, and he went forth clad only in rusty green and brown, as a ranger of the wilderness. Boromir had a long sword and fashioned Ondoril, but of less lineage, and he bore also a shield and his loud and clear as sounds in the valleys of the hills, he said, and then let all the foes of Gondor flee. Pointing it to his lips, he blew a blast, and the echoes leapt from rock to rock, and all that heard that voice in Rivendell sprang to their feet. Slow should ye be to win that horn again, Boromir, said Elrond, until you stand once more on the borders of the land, and dire need is on you. Maybe, said Boromir, but always I have let my horn cry as setting forth, and though here thereafter we may walk in the shadows, I will not go forth as a thief in the night. Gimli, the dwarf alone, wore openly a short shirt of steel rings, for dwarves make light of burdens, and in his belt was a broad-bladed axe. Mongolius had a bow and a quiver, and at his belt a long white knife. These younger hobbits wore these swords that they had taken from the barrel, but Frodo took only Sting and his mail coat, as Bilbo wished remained hidden. Gandalf bore his staff, but girt at his side was the elfin sword Glomdring, the mate of Orcus, that lay now upon the breast of Thorin under the lonely mountain. All were furnished by Elrond with thick, warm clothes, and they had jackets and cloaks lined with fur. Spare food and clothes and blankets and other needs were laid on a pony, none other than the poor beast that would be brought from Bray. The stay in Rivendell had worked the great wonder of change in him. He was glossy and seemed to have the vigor of youth. It was Sam who had insisted on choosing him, declaring that Bill, as he called him, would pine if he did not come. That animal can nearly talk, he said, and would talk. If he stayed here much longer, he gave me a look as plain as Mr. Pippin would speak it. If you don't let me go with you, Sam, I'll follow on my own. So Bill was going as the beast of burden, yet he was the only member of the company that did not seem depressed. Okay. The farewells had been said in the great hall by the fire, and they were only waiting now for Gandalf, who had not yet come out of the house. A gleam of firelight came from the open doors, and soft lights were glowing in the windows. Bilbo huddled in a cloak, silent, on the doorstep beside Frodo. Aragorn sat with his head bowed to his knees. Only Elrond knew fully what this hour meant to him. The others could be seen as gray shapes in the darkness. Sam was standing by the pony, sucking his teeth and staring moodily into the gloom, where the river roared stonily below. His desire for adventure was at its lowest ebb. Bill, my lad, he said, you oughtn't to have took up with us. You could have stayed here and ate the best hay till the new grass comes. Bill swished his tail and said nothing. Sam eased the pack on his shoulders and went over anxiously in his mind all the things that he had stowed in it. Wondered if he had forgotten anything. His chief treasure, his cooking gear, and the little box of salt that he always carried and refilled when he could. And a good supply of pipe weed, but not near enough, I warrant. Flint and tinder, woolen hose, linen, various small belongings of his masters that Frodo had forgotten. And Sam had stowed to bring them out in triumph when they were called for. He went through them all. Rope, he muttered. No rope. And only last night you said to yourself, Sam, what about a bit of rope? You'll want it if you haven't got it. Well, I want it, and I can't get it now. At that moment, Elrond came out with Gandalf, and he called the company to him. This is my last word, he said in a low voice. The ring bearer is setting out on the quest of Mount Doom. On him alone is any charge laid, neither to cast away the ring, nor to deliver it to any servant of the enemy, nor indeed to let any handle it, save members of the company and the council, and only then in greatest need. The others go with him as free companions to help him on his way. You may tarry, or come back, or turn aside into other paths as chance allows. The further you go, the less easy it will be to withdraw. Yet no oath or bond is laid on you to go further than you will. For you do not know the strength of your hearts, and you cannot foresee what each may meet upon the road. Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens, said Gimli. Maybe, said Elrond, but let him not vow to walk in the dark, who has not seen the nightfall. Yet sworn word may strengthen quaking heart, said Gimli. Or break it, said Elrond. Look not too far ahead, but go now with good hearts. Farewell, and may the blessing of elves and men and all free folk go with you. May the stars shine in your faces. Good luck, cried Bilbo, stuttering with the cold. I don't suppose you'll be able to keep a diary, Frodo, my lad, but I shall expect a full account when you get back. And don't be too long. Farewell. Many others of Elrond's household stood in the shadows and watched him go, bidding them farewell with soft voices, and there was no laughter and no song or music. At last they turned away and faded silently into the dusk. They crossed the bridge and wound slowly up the long, steep paths that led out of the cloven vale of Rivendell, and they came at length to the high moor where the wind hissed through the heather. And then one glance at the last homely house twinkling below him. They strode away into the night. At the ford of Brunnen, they left the road and turning southwards, went on narrow paths among the folded lands, and their purpose was to hold this course west of the mountains for many miles and days. The country was much rougher and more barren than in the and in the green vale of the great river in the Wonderland on the other side of the range. Their going would be slow, but they hoped in this way to escape the notice of unfriendly eyes. The spies of Sauron had hitherto seldom been seen in this empty country, and the paths were little known except to the people of Rivendell. Gandalf walked in front, and with him went Aragorn, who knew this land even in the dark. The others were in file behind, and Legolas, whose eyes were keen, was the rear guard. The first part of their journey was hard and dreary, and Frodo remembered little of it, save the wind. For many sunless days, an icy blast came from the mountains in the east, and garments seemed able to keep its searching fingers. Though the company was well clad, they seldom felt warm, either moving or at rest. They slept uneasily during the middle of the day, in some hollow of his land or hidden under the tangled thorn bushes that grew in thickets in many places. In the late afternoon, they roused by the watch and took their chief meal, cold and cheerless as a rule, for they could seldom risk the lighting of a fire. In the evening they went on again, always as nearly southward as they could find a way. So they're going that way, that way. Uh, At first it seemed to the hobbits that although they walked and stumbled until they were weary, they were creeping forward like snails and getting nowhere. Each day the land looked much the same as it did the day before, yet steadily the mountains were drawing nearer. South of Rivendell, they rose ever higher and bent westwards, and about the feet of the main range there was tumbled an ever wider land of lake hills and deep valleys filled with turbulent waters. Paths were few and winding, and led them often to the edge of some sure fall, or down into treacherous swamps. Hmm. Ooh. So, okay. We're going to stop here on page 282. So you see who is in the company right now, who is in the entourage on the way south of Rivendell. I'm imagining that they're passing the high pass and they're going down the Anduin. Anduin. Well, anyway, we're going to stop right there. And we'll continue next time on chapter 3. Safe travels.